G'day YouTube viewer, g'day bikers. A different video today to thank Freddie Dobbs for picking up my comment on his Tuesday Dobbs channel recently about a rare bike called the BSA Dandy and wondering if any was still available in the used market in the UK. I love the research he did in this week's episode, all the answers he found and the recollections from others who remember it in the comments section of that video he posted on Tuesday. I'll link that episode in a card at the end of this video if I can, or place the link in the description for this one, and link the one I did last year revealing how YouTube, including a Freddie Dobbs video, finally helped me find the answer to my long search for the name of the first bike I rode as an 8-year-old. But right now I'd like to answer his question about how I managed to ride that bike with no clutch, no brakes, and 2-speed gear shift on the left grip of the handlebar. The answer is it wasn't easy, but I did manage. But I had no idea how to ride a motorcycle with a standard gear shift or clutch for many years after that because of that bike and the two that followed. And some might say that's why my gear shifting is so bad now. I describe myself as an average rider, but feel very privileged because I grew up on a farm which came with many unique opportunities, such as starting my education with School of the Air, learning to ride a horse while basically still in nappies, and I felt really blessed when my father bought 2 used postie bikes at an auction in Sydney when I was about 9 after he saw my interest in the BSA Dandy and how much I loved to ride it. He had only ever ridden horses for farm work and herding cattle before that, but the acquisition of the 2 Honda motorcycles also saw him start to ride for the first time in many years. He had owned and ridden a 1940s Harley in his early 20s. One of the postie bikes he bought for the farm was a Honda CT90 and the other a CT110. The CT90 was perfect because it had a low range that meant it could plod along at walking pace for herding cattle, and the farm dogs did the rest. I loved it because there were many fire trails near where I grew up, and this bike could climb any hill slowly without spinning the back wheel. Both bikes had centrifugal clutches, depending where you come from as to how you say that, which meant none of the first 3 bikes I rode had a manual clutch. But that didn't mean I didn't know how to use one. Before I rode any motorbike, which was before I rode any push bike, I could already drive a tractor and a ute. With the 2 tractors on the farm, a Ford and an International, I had to jump off the seat to press the clutch or the brake down individually with both feet. I could only do one at a time, but I managed to do that, although I do recall it was a bit jerky. And recalling that, it brings back memories of my 2 older sisters standing on the rear of a hay trailer, each wearing open back sandals. And when I jumped off the seat one day to let the clutch out to start rolling, I got it a bit wrong and the tractor and trailer jumped forward. When I looked back to see if my sisters were okay, all I could see on the trailer was some of the sandals because their feet had slipped out and they'd fallen off the back, which seemed funny to me at the time, but looking back probably was pretty dangerous. So growing up on a farm probably wasn't the safest thing in many ways. We had fun though, and I also recall them sitting in the back of the ute with my father driving and me riding behind on the motorbike, and them throwing biscuits called ice bobos off the back with me trying to catch them with my mouth. After a lot of trial and error, I ended up getting pretty good at it. It's great to reminisce, isn't it? Getting back to changing gears on the tractors and the truck I drove when I was a little older, I learned to double clutch. And the old Datsun farm ute I drove had a column shift next to the steering wheel, so that was a little different as well. Anyway, I learnt to use normal gears on a motorcycle when I bought a 1974 Suzuki TS185 as a 12-year-old, and then a 1979 Honda GB350N Super Dream at 17. And around that time I remember hopping on a Spanish-made Montesa which had some of the controls on the opposite side to many other bikes. They were all unique experiences, made growing up very different to what my own children experienced. But hopefully one day I'll get them into motorcycling as well. Anyway, Freddie, it was difficult to ride that first bike, but I didn't know any different or any better as an 8-year-old, and I made it work. The hardest thing was starting it because it had a lawnmower engine fitted to replace the original motor, and that also meant it had to be started with a cord that you had to carry with you to start again if and when you stopped. After a while, I just learned to roll start or jump start it to make it easier. Looking back, they were great days and great memories that I will never forget, nor will I ever be able to repeat them. And I doubt I'll ever get to ride a BSA Dandy again, unless I successfully manage to bid for the one at auction in Las Vegas and import it to Australia. I'll look at the costing of doing all that and then work out whether that's feasible or not. But thank you for finding out that discovery was amazing, more than I could ever have hoped for. Anyway, as I said, it's so nice to recall those days and to be riding today just as much as I did back then. And thank you for watching. If you like hearing some of the old stories from my early riding days, please let me know in the comments below and I'll share a few more. And please check Freddie Dobbs' 2 channels out if you haven't before, although I'm probably preaching to the converted there. I think anyone into motorcycling will have watched Freddie Dobbs, which is why I was so excited when he mentioned my channel and spent all that time answering my question. I'll also start linking Riding Hood's new videos to mine as soon as she starts riding again, which will be in the next week or two. In the meantime, please like and subscribe to this channel if you think the content is okay and would like to be alerted to future videos. And please have a fantastic day. Happy riding!